Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, Sippin' the Dry. Today, I've got Parker with me and our extra special guest. You've heard about him on podcasts, on episodes of ours in the past, Phil Cook.
Howdy, everybody.
What's up,
How are you,
Phil?
bud?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
You guys have been
good to be here.
friends for a while.
Yeah,
You guys
I've known
have known
Phil
each
for a long
other.
time.
Long time.
That's true.
One of the best fishermen I know.
Is that the reason you're so good?
Hey, that's why he's legendary.
I don't know about that, but I did bring some gifts for you guys.
You did.
I heard you guys
Oh,
like beer.
man. We
Is that true?
Absolutely.
My throat was getting dry. We didn't start sipping a little bit. You know?
Yeah, that's right. I know. Me too. Me too. So I got some Mad Tree Summer Camp Haze right here.
Yeah, Mad Tree's at Cincinnati.
Yep,
Oh,
Cincinnati. Yeah. It's nice IPA. So pretty refreshing. And then I got this Lemonade, which
From
I think
Rheingeist.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that symbol anywhere.
Yeah. So you know,
That's out of
I
ordinary.
think there's really only like one Lemmy, right? You know.
a Michigander buying a Ohio beer, man. I don't know. They may not let you back in the state.
We're not going to tell them.
That's right.
Pass one of those down.
Absolutely.
I'll take
Which
it.
one,
I'll take the haze.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bless
There
you.
you go, buddy.
Same for me.
There you go.
We're going to start here. I love it.
Perfect.
Gentlemen.
Cheers. Good seeing you, Phil.
Good to be here. Good to be seen.
Word.
So you come this way bearing some good news.
You did.
Yeah. So why I'm here today is to cast and show you guys the new Scott Wave.
Awesome.
Which it replaces, that's right here, but it replaces the Scott Title in terms of their mid-priced option in a 6 through 12 weight. It's going to retail for $675, and it's actually an amazing rod. It's super nice, and really was designed with Midwestern fisheries in mind,
Okay.
which is cool. Like when I was talking with Jim Barshey about like his thought process behind designing this rod, like the title, obviously it conveys like a saltwater message. Okay. So, but he said, and obviously as the title is its predecessor, he's like, we are going to sell these as saltwater rods. We're going to sell the Wave as a saltwater rod, but I designed this rod specifically with Midwestern warm water fisheries in mind.
Wow.
So carp, bass.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
It's our
Mouse
bread
and
and
for
butter
trout.
around
yeah.
Like kind of throwing big bugs, being able to handle heavier lines.
Okay. Yep.
So in like kind of running through this summer with the prototypes, specifically the 7 and 8 weights, it did all of that I asked it to and more.
Well, so give us an idea. Were you fishing out of a boat? Or were you wade fishing? Were you carp fishing? Bass fishing?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I like my as we all grow older and family dynamics change or whatever, like I find myself busy with the business and everything, plus family stuff, etc. And I find myself wade fishing quite a lot. So I'll work in the morning and then fish for a couple hours in an afternoon. And some of that is super enjoyable. A lot of it's like sight fishing, right? So I'll just walk upstream, and I got my black lab, and she swims along with me. And
Excellent.
if you run into a pot of carp, you're fish carp. If you see a big bass sitting on a rock, throw a pop.
Which weight are you fishing?
Generally the 7 for that.
Cool.
Because I like a little bit softer landing. The 8, in my opinion, is generally reserved for like intermediate lines. So with the 8, I'm generally fishing, excuse me, like bigger minnow patterns and like crayfish and stuff like that.
Well, and like the title, the 8, 9, and 10 weight were basically our stronghold for the saltwater guy. 8 bonefish, 9 could be heavy winds, bonefish, maybe light permit, but then the 10 weight was like your permit, like tarpon rod,
Right.
and so forth. And these, like you said, go through a 6 weight through 12 weight
6 through 12 weight, yeah.
and a 9 foot.
Yep, all 9-footers. And I mean, I didn't have a prototype of the 6, but when I got a production sample of the 6, I was blown away.
It's cool.
Super nice model. So like I'm really happy for it, or happy with it. I think it's gonna move really well, and I think it's gonna be a pretty popular rod among the masses out there. So
Well, and also explain, you've been repping for Scott for how long?
So I've been repping for Scott to one capacity or another. Of course, I worked with Jerry Darkus, who was my predecessor, but since mid 2017. So
Okay.
So I mean, talking what is that, 4.5 years?
Yeah.
Well, actually, probably 5 years.
Well, with all these rods, how do you feel that Scott separates themselves?
That's a great question. You'll often hear from other people in the industry like my rod's the best for this or that reason, or it's equally as good, if it's less or expensive or whatever. There's always a couple things that I think set Scott apart. One is the graphite they use. So the graphite that Jim Barchi uses hasn't changed since like the mid 90s. Okay, it's called Torre graphite. But what has changed is the way that they lay the fibers,
Sure.
like on each
Yeah,
other,
traps
and
all this
also
other stuff.
like the different epoxies.
Yep.
The other thing that Jim like really prides himself in, of course, Jim that I'm talking about is Jim Barchi from Scott, and what he really prides himself on is components. Right, so like if you look at this rod, like it has some black nickel stripping guides, and it has like a really really cool blue carbon reel insert
That is beautiful.
It's
that
beautiful.
pops. I mean, it looks really good to match the wraps. So from even with the title, the Radian, the Flex to some degree, definitely Centric Sector F series. Like you look at the appointments on the rod, and I think that when you compare it for the other high-end rods on the rack, they definitely look different. Subtle differences, but definitely different.
Well, and one of the things that people really notice when they pick up a Scott rod too is they're not sanded down to a smooth finish.
Correct.
So you get the original kind of actual wrap of the graphite.
Yeah.
Go through. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. And then the other of course big difference is the hand inscription.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
it's
the
cool.
name, the model, and the serial number, and one thing that you and I are that we share a common interest in, of course, is guitars and music, and like to me, a Scott, it looks like $1,000 rod, right?
Yeah.
It's like it looks like it is handcrafted.
Yep.
Yeah. Clearly.
From start to finish, and other rods on the rack obviously are also handcrafted, but if they're sanded down and then like a logo or a model or whatever is stamped on the blank, it kind of has a different touch than like a personal inscription.
Yeah, and they're still out of Montrose, Colorado, right?
Correct.
Which brings you got other brands too. So out of Montrose, you're carrying Ross and Abel.
Yeah. So
course.
well, it's kind of funny because like Ross, Abel, and Airflo are at Mayfly Outdoors, which is like I think 2.5 miles from Scott.
That's sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they're right down the road, and of course in that manufacturing facility they do Abel and Ross. Airflow is manufactured in the UK in Wales, and shipped overseas. But yeah, it's kind of funny because like the trifecta, if you will, is like right there. In what it really is a small town of Montrose.
I've actually been out there, but it's been so many years. I mean, it was pretty much when I was in my early 20s because I used to go out west and do a lot of fishing, did a little guide and stuff out there. But small town.
Yeah,
and you got these big, as GM, you see these bigger companies, but they're still small. I mean, Scott's is still a small company that does handcrafted work.
Yeah, it's cool. Like you go in there and you see the rolling tables, and you see like the hundreds of mandrels that they have. I mean, it feels like you're walking into like the old Gibson factory, right?
So give us a little rundown of the Scott series that we have in shop right now.
So we do F series, which is a fiberglass rod, which I love. I call mine affectionately my little whippy stick because I take this thing like to the driftless. I take it creek fishing. I love it. My personal favorite in that series is the 7.24 weight, but they have like a 5.83 weight that is super nice. It just like takes a little getting used to with such a short rod. They have the G series, which is more of a moderate action graphite rod.
Thing's incredible dry fly rod.
Super nice dry fly rod. In that G series, they have a model called the Michigan Mouser, which is like a 7.75 weight, which I love. Then they have the Centric, which just came out last year.
Yep.
That replaced the Radian. And that's like kind of more freshwater centric, offered in models 3 to 7 weight.
I mean, that thing can pretty much fish anywhere in the States and pretty much anywhere in the world for, between a 4 weight and 7 weight sort of range.
Yeah. And
awesome.
honestly, like I think that the 7 weight centric is like one of the finest rods in the entire Scott portfolio.
Sure.
It's such a nice rod, and I mean the 5 and the 6 aren't far behind, but that 7 is just, I mean, it's an amazing rod. And then you have the Sector, which is kind of saltwater focused. That's a super cool rod because what Jim did on that is he put the carbon web on there. So you take it out into the sun and it like literally looks like it's coated in glitter.
Huh. What?
Yeah. So that one, my favorite models in the Sector for my personal fishing, what I do the most is the 8.4 models. In both the 6 and the 8 weight, and then in the 7 weight I like that 2-piece, the 8107.
Yeah, we sell a couple of those every so often, but they're kind of special order.
Yeah.
Guys wanting that stick. And me and you have fished that. Yeah, that's a
mean rod. I mean, and it was something that I had specifically asked Jim to include that because we fish a lot of 7 weights in the Midwest. But yeah, and now the Wave. So that's kind of the Scott lineup in terms of current one, and then I think there's going to be some ads coming, over the next few years. I don't know what that looks like yet.
Right on. Dang, you guys are fishy. You know that? You guys are great, but my God, you can't get a word in edgeword. When you guys start, when you guys get at it, that's holy crap. All right. Is there anything else we can get out of the way about our new rod?
We're about to go fish this tonight, which is sweet.
True.
So I'm stoked on that. No, I mean you'll see this when can you're going to see this podcast?
Probably September 1.
September 1st.
Customers will be able to order in September 1.
Is that midnight?
Yeah, I mean as of midnight September 1.
Okay, so we got to be on it too.
Yeah,
we're on it.
Yeah, 100%.
Stay up late.
That's right.
You got to sip the dry with us.
Yeah, I'll sip the dry.
I mean, just test casting this thing. Yeah,
it was pretty sick. I'm not
It's
gonna lie.
nice.
I'm excited to fish.
Than,
What are we fishing tonight? A 6-7 weight?
We'll fish the 6 and the 7.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
right on.
So what other brands do you carry?
So in addition to Scott, I do Ross, Abel, Airflo, as we touched on earlier. But then I also do Echo, and I do Montana Fly, Rep Your Water, Corkers.
That's a sick brand. Rep Your Water's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, and then of course I do even more than I do. Dr. Slick, McLean nets, which are really nice. They're manufactured in New Zealand, and a couple others.
True.
Yeah.
God, that's so good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. I want to know some more about you personally.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell me some stuff like what's the most embarrassing thing you have seen when you're guiding somebody? God, I mean, stories.
I mean, so I think it's really important to be able to laugh at ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I mean, I've had some like crazy client stories that I could relate, but instead I think I would turn the spotlight on myself and say, probably the most embarrassing thing was, of course, in Michigan we do a lot of night fishing, and one night I'm looking around and I'm looking at the tree line and I'm like, man, this doesn't look right, and it wasn't right because I was a mile and a half downstream of where I wanted to take out.
Oh my God.
So I had 2 clients with me and I had to get out of the boat and hoof it back to the car, drive down somebody's private driveway, and take my boat out from somebody's yard. Yeah, because the next takeout was like 12 miles downstream.
Yeah, you got lucky.
So
You
so
actually got lucky on that one.
So
yeah.
no, nobody was even there. Nobody was at the cabin. So like so that one was definitely embarrassing, and that was one where I was like, man, maybe I should take stuff more seriously.
So was that early on in guiding, or?
Yeah. I think I was like my second year guiding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So yeah, that was but I mean, like clients. A lot of the embarrassing stuff that happens to clients is more or less just because they don't know, and because they're newer. And I think that it's important for us to always remember that we were newer at one point.
Oh yeah.
And we were the ones making the embarrassing mistake.
Yep.
Still making embarrassing mistakes, brother.
So I mean, like, so I always try to give some flexibility there.
I always tell them I hook more trees than they ever will.
I know, and I do get a laugh always about the guys that are like, like they seem like they came out of the womb great fly fishermen because nobody did. It's hard and it takes time. So
yeah. Both of you gentlemen have conquered it.
But
so in your arsenal, what's your number one rod?
Ooh.
I can't even answer that.
Let's just say it's the best smallmouth day. You're popper fishing, it's summertime, which we're still in. We're kind of the tail end. You're grabbing a rod. You got to be careful because you're a scout.
There's
6-weight, 7-weight.
There's two. So if I am fishing a popper or any kind of like diver or a carp fly, I'm fishing the 8-4 6-weight sector.
Gotcha.
8-4 6-weight.
If I am fishing a bug like that scorpion that I showed you, like
almost
that's
giant, like the biggest grasshopper that you can. I saw them in South Carolina like 2 weeks ago. They're huge. They're like this big.
Yeah. So if I fish something like that, I'm generally fishing a badass glass.
Oh.
Because I think,
really?
Yeah, because I think they.
Wow.
I think that they do. It does a little bit better job of keeping a fish buttoned on lighter tippet.
Okay.
Yeah, the glass does. It has a little bit of cushion.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So those are really like those would be my two go-to rods.
That's cool.
For my local fishery, like when I like what you're talking about, when I have 2 hours to fish, I'm generally picking up one of those rods. Usually it's the 8-4 6-weight sector, just because it's a little bit more versatile.
I can see that.
But I mean, I would say that overall it's probably close to 50-50 between those two.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With the brands, what any other new stuff you can?
Parker's trying to get ahead on his work here.
Yeah. I mean the short answer is no. But the reason why it's no is because I haven't seen any of the new stuff yet. The one thing that I think is exciting that's coming out that I did have a sample of today, obviously, is that the new wet wading sandal from Corkers.
Yeah, that was cool.
Those are sick. Yeah, you showed me.
Yeah, I'm excited for those because I do a lot of wet wading.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, I think those are going to do well here in the Midwest.
Cause you put me on the Corkers team, and I'll tell you what. I mean, I love the boots, but I will sell a Corkers boot in store because once people can kind of look at it, feel it, touch it, understand it, it's
done.
Phenomenal.
Oh, they're super comfy.
Yeah,
they're a really good product. Yeah. But then, like for instance, I have like a sales meeting for Ross, Abel, and Airflo next week.
Cool.
So we'll learn like new products, and I'll be back in September.
Yeah.
You guys will. You guys will be unfortunate.
Episode, 23 or
you guys will be unfortunate enough to see me again here. In the next month or so, but yeah, that's what's going on, and I'm sure when I come back, I'll have a lot more info.
Cool.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for listeners that was passed on to you that you would like to pass on to them?
I heard Seth say this in I watched the last podcast. And I was like, and I thought it was good. I don't even know if I have a YouTube account, which I'm kind of embarrassed about.
But
okay.
But
we'll get him hooked up with one. Don't worry.
one of the great things. So I had a really good smallmouth bass mentor who had been fishing our local rivers since the mid 1960s. And he passed away, I think, either 4 or 5 years ago. But one of the things that he had told me, and it remains a good piece of advice, is to fish the middle. So when I'm fishing two people out of a boat, I almost always have the dude in the bow fishing, or whoever's in the bow fishing straight down the middle.
Yeah.
And then I have the
Other
person
guy
in
picking
the
off the
back
sides.
fishing the sides.
Yeah.
It doesn't always hold true, but it's held true enough. And I've caught enough big fish in the middle to like be a pretty hardcore subscriber of that.
You say that, and Ryan Trajanski today was like, I was with Father Greg, and he's like, I didn't know what swallows were, and they come down, they start eating in the middle on our trout stream on the Mad River.
Yeah.
Boom, start drifting, nymphs down, it starts catching trout.
Right down the middle.
That's awesome.
Well, I think like it's human nature to think of structure in terms of logs, in terms of bank structure, right?
Yeah.
But like structure can also be in the middle of the river.
Oh yeah.
It could be in the mid left or the mid right, and training yourself to do that can be hard, but it's totally worth it when you can do it.
The big rivers around here has taught me a little of that, like the Great Miami. It's so big that you actually sometimes have to only be in the middle.
Yeah.
Because the banks are kind of so shallow.
Yeah.
There's really nothing there. And so you're just trying to figure out, which side of that middle that you're fishing.
And what I always tell people is, like, if you have any doubt, just chuck it down the middle. It's like as far as you can go, And people are like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And then it's like, some big blow up and, oh yeah, okay, wow, that works.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have anything else for you, Phil. I mean, my God, you brought beer. You taught us all way more than I thought I was going to learn.
Well, and this wave's going to be sweet.
You told us about the new rod.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be really popular among Midwest anglers. And from a rep perspective, it's super exciting for me to have something mid-price from Scott because I think it's been close to 2 years since we've been able to sell Title and Flex.
Yeah.
And not only is this a Title replacement, but it's definitely a Title upgrade.
And people forget, I shouldn't say they forget, but during COVID, Scott actually, they're such a smaller company, they had to focus on the sector and centric just to get, rods and hands to people.
Correct.
And I think that's why, Jim kind of went this direction instead of kind of coming, and just doing the Title again. He's like, maybe scrap it.
Yeah, and and kudos to Scott, for like working on that. And I mean, they had product available when it was a struggle from some of the other vendors, as I'm sure you guys can attest to.
Absolutely, I do remember that.
And I mean, it's a good brand. It's a brand that I really enjoy repping, and like I think that Jim Barchi, the rod designer, like he does a kick-ass job,
And he's a cool ass dude. I've met him tons of times.
He's super cool, So here's a good Parker story, that you'll enjoy. Okay, so like the first sales meeting that I went to for Scott, I show up, and most sales meetings, like you show up and the sales manager is like dressed, he's got a collared shirt, dressed to the nines, right? Jim is wearing a Bad Brains t-shirt.
Nice.
And I was like, all right.
Yeah. All right.
I was like, I think I'm getting along with this guy. So, I mean, he is a great guy. He's a great mind when it comes to rod design, and definitely a company I enjoy repping. So
yeah.
So Sean, I think we get to order these with Phil. When do they ship these?
So they're gonna ship them the end of August.
Awesome, cool. So everybody will probably see those. September 1st is when we go live with this. You'll probably hear this on the podcast around that time too.
Yeah, you'll hear it on the podcast, and it'll probably maybe be up on the website already.
So if I was to last two questions, if I was to pair this, and how we do really well with fly rod outfits.
Yeah.
What Ross would you put on this? Would you put an Abel? Would you put a Ross?
So personally, I would probably do a Ross. And
LTX
and
that we have right
actually
here?
that one that you have on there, the LTX, like
It's pretty.
I love, yeah. So I mean, like I'm a little bit odd about the way that I pair reels and rods, in that I'm very particular, in terms of color.
Sure.
And if you look at the ano and the finish on the Evo LTX, it matches the hardware of the Wave. So like, I mean, I would put an LTX on there, or an Animus, or really any reel in your selection with a gloss black finish.
And we would always encourage, for people, when they're looking for specific applications, call the pro staff about fly lines.
Absolutely.
As we had fly line, podcasts and
a couple
stuff.
episodes back. me
Yeah,
and you
just give
talked
us a
all
call
about
and then we compare that. But yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
thing's sharp.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. The other thing that I would do is like an Abel Via, or an SDS in dark blue with a light blue knob.
That'd be sweet. For them custom guys, yeah.
Some like that, would be pretty cool. And I mean, that would be obviously a higher end option, but I think that would be something that would pop and look cool on that thing. So
It would.
Yeah.
Man, that real seat is just, that blue pops.
yeah,
I think they did so well.
yeah. I'm stoked. It's gonna
Yeah.
be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going fishing tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Phil.
Thanks for being on. And,
Of course, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell someone you love them. Keep them lines tight, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.